Om Sri Sai Ram, Sri Sathya Sai ParabrahmaNe Namaha. Sri Satya Sai Satcharitra Tapovanam Parayanam Chapter 4. Sai blossoms. This Sai has come in order to achieve the supreme task of uniting the entire mankind as one family through the bond of brotherhood, of affirming and illumining the inner reality of each being in order to reveal the divine, which is the basis on which the entire cosmos rests, and of instructing all to recognize the common divine heritage that binds man to man, so that man can rid himself of the animal and rise to the divine, which is his goal. Baba. Seshamarazu married the sister of Pasumurthy Venkatarazu of Kamalapuram in the Kadapa district. He was keen that his younger brother Satyam should be given high school education. So he brought the youngster to Kamalapuram and put him in the local high school. But it so happened that Seshamarazu had to himself leave the place and go elsewhere to undergo teacher's training. Pushpagiri Festival. Sometime after Satyam got admitted into the high school, the annual festival at Pushpagiri, a temple town nearby, was to be held. The physical education instructor of the school organized a scout troop for doing service during the festival. Satyam enrolled himself in the troop as he felt that it would enable him to do social work and service. As he did not have enough money to spend, he did not join the school group going to Pushpagiri, but went there separately by himself, walking all the way. He could not afford to buy food, so he just fasted all the days he was there. He never mentioned this either to his teacher or to his companions. He cheerfully participated in all the social service activities of his troop. If anyone asked him whether he had his meals, he would hold out his hand for them to smell. His hand would smell of sweets made of pure ghee. His friends believed that he must have taken some tasty food at some of his relatives' house. The scoutmaster would allocate duties evenly to all the boys in his charge, including Satyam, though Satyam was not as sturdy as the others. Restoring missing children to their parents, providing drinking water to the pilgrims, looking after their medical requirements, and rendering first aid. These were some of the activities Satyam was engaged in. By his dedication and assiduousness, Satyam set a fine example as a social worker. The scout troop, of which Satyam was a star in the Pushpagiri festivities, was undoubtedly the precursor of the present-day Sri Sathya Sai Sevadal, which is rendering human services to mankind throughout the world. On successfully completing his teacher's training course, Seshamarazu was appointed as a Telugu teacher in Uravakonda. As a teacher, he was describing to the children of his class the childish pranks of Bala Krishna and Sri Rama, but he could not understand the meaning of the Leelas being displayed in his own home by the God incarnate. Both he and his father mistakenly attributed them to goblins and evil spirits. Seshamarazu firmly believed that if his little brother were entrusted to his care, he would soon set him right by liberal use of the rod. With a heavy heart, poor Iswaramma agreed to send her darling son to Uravakonda. I am the servator of all. Satyam was admitted in grade 8th in the high school in Uravakonda. He lived with his brother Seshamarazu. There was no drinking water in the house. It has to be fetched a mile away from the town. To meet daily needs, Satyam would bring water every day, morning and evening, making 2 or 3 trips each time. He would carry 2 large containers on each trip, slung one at each end of the bamboo pole balanced on his shoulders. The neighbors soon discovered Satyam's efforts, affable and obliging nature. They would ask him endearingly to fetch some water for them too, and the lad would cheerfully meet their requirements as well. Satyam returned to Puttaparthi for the holidays. Iswaramma prepared to give her little boy an oil bath. When she set about applying oil to his body, she found calluses on his shoulders. The skin too had darkened. He tried to evade her anxious enquiries, but when pressed, he explained with a disarming smile. It is probably due to my bringing water for our elder brother's household. Eyes brimming, the loving mother inquired why he should have to fetch water. Satyam replied, how can they live on brackish water? That apart, dear mother, it is not a fact that I have come only to serve people. The answer brought no solace to the distressed mother. Annie Mary Marwaha, a lady employed with the German embassy in New Delhi, had enjoyed the good fortune of tasting the sweetness of Bhagawan's love. On one of her visits to Puttaparthi, she asked, Swami, what is the true nature of your incarnation? I fail to understand it. Bhagavan softly replied, what shall I say? To tell you in a nutshell, I am the surveyor of all. The reply took her by storm. In a torment of pity, she sobbed uncontrollably. She cried, why do you say like this, Baba? Swami explained, dear child, that is but the simple truth. Everyone gives me a job to do. Whoever does everyone's errand is indeed the surveyor of all. Is it not? Bhagavan's words and deeds, be them of his childhood days or of the present day, are the same. Swami fetched drinking water as a child. Even today, grown up as he is still fetching fresh, wholesome drinking water. The only difference is that a new name has now been given to his labors, Sri Sathya Sai Drinking Water Project. In the olden days, neighbors requested him, Baba, dear boy, will you bring some drinking water for us too? Today, people from neighboring districts are praying to him, Baba, will you give some drinking water for us too? Bhagavan answers with boundless love and affection, yes, yes, certainly, certainly. Some of them have only heard of Puttaparthi but do not know where it is. They have to inquire and find out how to reach there. In their distress, they make their arduous way to Baba, to their divine mother for succor. And sure enough, the compassionate mother responds, my poor children have to come to me, praying not for sumptuous feast, but for a mere quaff of. The motherly assurance of Bhagavan comes forth spontaneously, surely, surely. It is not one mother speaking, but 1,000 mothers. Indeed, it is the love of 1,000,000 mothers. Swami achieves single-handedly what an entire government or a whole nation could not accomplish. The beneficiaries are his own children. For their welfare, he has spent and is spending hundreds of crores of rupees on a drinking water project. People are grateful, but can this immense debt of love be repaid ever? The Sri Sathya Sai drinking water project has so far covered about 750 villages and 11 towns. It is considered to be one of the marvels of the world. Water flows through 2,500 kilometers of pipeline and quenches the thirst of 1,000,000 people in the Rayalaseema region of Andhra Pradesh. The nectar-like love of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba is visible in every meter of long pipeline. Do deeds match words? During his school days in Uravakonda, Satyam was encouraged and inspired to write a short play dealing with human values. It was significantly titled, Do Deeds Match Words? The details of that play, written a long time back, are topical even today. Scene 1 of the play opens with a woman who is reading and interpreting verses in the Sri Mahabhagavata to a group of women. In the course of her discourse, she exhorts her audience not to waste charity on able bodied beggars and the indolent, but to help only those who are infirm, disabled, old, or handicapped. After the gathering disperses, a blind man approaches her and begs for help. She is annoyed and drives him away. A moment later, a Haridasa, wearing prominent caste marks all over his body and singing songs, comes begging for alms. He is playing on a stringed instrument as an accompaniment to his singing. The lady gives him some rice as well as cash, bows to his feet, and seeks his blessings. Krishna, her son, is a witness to what has gone by. He is perturbed and asks her, "Dear mother, what did you teach your friends during your religious discourse, and what have you done just now?" She gets wild and shouts at him, "Shut up! Does anybody do as he says?" Scene 2 shows the same boy with his father in the latter's office. His father extols the benefits of education and concludes his speech saying that one should obtain good education, overcoming every obstacle. A poor boy standing outside is overhearing the inspiring words through an open window. He comes in and says, "Sir, thanks to monetary assistance from high-minded persons like you, I managed to pay my school fee. But now I am short of 1 rupee to pay this month's fee. Kindly help me." The gentleman replies that he does not have even a paisa with him and opens his purse to show that it is empty. After the disappointed student leaves, several colleagues descend on him and ask for contributions for a function and refreshments to welcome an officer newly posted to the office. In his opinion, he tells them such an important occasion deserves to be celebrated on a big scale and gives 20 rupees as his contribution. His son, Krishna, a mute witness to all this, asks his father, "Daddy, you spake at length and in glowing terms about the value of education and the importance of getting educated at any cost. But when that poor schoolboy begged for just a single rupee for the sake of educating himself, you turned him down. On the other hand, you have readily parted with 20 rupees for the sake of an ostentatious waste. Why?" The man turns on him in great annoyance. "Do deeds of people match their words? Shut up and go to school." In scene 3, Krishna is seen sitting in his class. His teachers enter in a great flurry. "The inspector of schools is visiting us today," he tells the class. "We have finished 23 lessons so far, but if the inspector asks you, tell him that we have completed 32. I will now do the 33rd lesson. Later, when the inspector comes here, I will teach him afresh in his presence as if I am doing it for the first time. Whatever questions I put to you now will be repeated in his presence so that you will impress him with your correct answers." Krishna meets the teacher a little later when he is alone. He asks him, "Sir, the new lesson you taught us today is about King Satya Harishchandra, who was dedicated to truth irrespective of consequences. Even as you taught us about such a noble person, you directed us to speak lies. Is it proper?" The teacher flies into a rage and admonishes him. "Is there anyone whose actions accord with his words?" In the fourth and final scene, Krishna flings his books aside and refuses to go to school. Unable to bring him down, the parents send for his teacher. In the presence of all the three, the boy says, "You are, of course, teaching me good lessons, but you do not allow me to act on the precepts I hear from you. Of what use are your lessons? I do not want to learn them." The elders are spellbound, but see the point. They relent and express regrets. This is the substance of the short play written by Satyam when he was barely 12 years of age. He also donned Krishna's role when it was played. He conveyed through that role to to the world that hypocrisy should be eschewed and everyone should live up to his word. From that day right up to this day, he has been exhorting people. Mere words are not enough. Your actions should conform to what you speak. This ringing message reverberates through the entire world and guides every aspirant, sadhaka, towards spiritual elevation. The missing horse. When Satyam was at school in Uravakonda, a poor Muslim of that town was making a living by plying a horse carriage. One day, his horse went missing. Failing to find it, the poor man came to Satyam for help. The boy directed him to a wood situated about a mile and a half away from the town. He did so and found his horse grazing there. From then on, Muslims of the town developed great love and respect for Satyam. News of Satyam's uncommon abilities spread far and wide. Long before this, Shirdi Sai Baba displayed a similar miracle when a well-to-do Muslim by the name Chandbhai Patil of Dhupkheda village in the Aurangabad district lost his mare. Disappointed and tired after a fruitless search of missing mare, he was dejectedly dragging himself into home with the saddle on his back. Shirdi Sai Baba saw him, took pity at his despondency and directed him to search for his mare in the nearby channel. Chand Patil did as told and to his great surprise and delight found the animal there. Now, what is the deeper meaning of these two similar incidents? The horse or mare represents the human mind that is ever unsteady. One who succeeds in comprehending the true nature of mind is truly a chittachor. Ashwa is the Sanskrit word for horse, meaning one that is perpetually in motion. We normally take Ashwa to mean a horse, but it is only its broad meaning. A horse is always in motion, moving its leg, tail, or ear every moment. Thus, Ashwa stands for the quality of unsteadiness, the state of being continuously disturbed, restless. The Sanskrit word Ashwamedha, horse sacrifice, means offering of one's unsteady mind to God. The Sanskrit word Ashwatha, people tree, likewise refers to a tree that is in perpetual motion even when there is a little breeze. Its leaves keep moving. The human mind also keeps on wavering similarly both during sleep and wakefulness. Baba says that a horse sacrifice, Ashwamedha, does not mean that the animal should be physically killed in flesh and blood and offered to God. The true meaning is that our animal nature should be given up as an offering to God. Divine puppeteer acts the danseus. When Satyam was at school in Uravakonda, his headmaster arranged a benefit program raising funds for the school. Rishyendramani, a celebrated dancer of those days, was to dance. Publicity material was printed and widely distributed. But due to some unexpected developments, she could not keep her appointment. Lakshmipati, the headmaster, got worried and became tense. Satyam approached him and told him not to worry. The item of dance that Rishyendramani was to perform, he said he would himself do. The amazing item was that made her justly famous was indeed very difficult to perform. She would put a bottle made of glass on her head, position a plate thereon, and place some lighted oil lamps in the plate. She would then dance and, while continuing with it, pick up a handkerchief from the ground with her lips. Satyam offered to do something more astounding. Sir, she picks up only a handkerchief with her lips. He said, I will pick up a needle with my eyelids. But please announce that the performing artist is Rishyendramani herself. Several years later, Swami described in his own words what happened on that day. I was made to wear a sari too big for me. The organizers provided a pigtail of the sort worn by women. As you know, while dancing, the dancer flicks it from side to side. So, they made it thick and long. lest it should fall off while I danced. They strongly tied it all over. Strings of bells adorned my ankles. They found a jalopy to carry me from my makeup place to the venue of the dance program. There was a run on tickets as nobody wanted to miss Rishyendramani's dance. When musical instruments began playing, I gently shook my ankle bells to produce captivating sounds. The audience lost themselves in ecstasy. The headmaster placed a bottle on the crown of my head. Another teacher positioned a plate gingerly thereon and lighted the lamps. Why did they do all this in public? Just to satisfy the doubters who might be thinking that I had all these things fixed firmly and securely on my head. It must be shown to their satisfaction that they were all loosely positioned. Music was being played for my dance. I was moving around, round and round on the stage. Even as I danced, I suddenly bent down and picked up with my eyelids a needle placed on the ground. The audience clapped and clapped in delight and applause. The district collector, an Englishman, came to the stage to award a medal to me. His name was Horsley. He wanted to touch me before giving the medal. I refused. He said, "I am just like a brother to you. I want to place this medal around your neck." I replied, "I am just like your sister. Put it into my hand." From the side of the stage, the headmaster was signaling to me that he was the collector and that I should accept without fuss. But as I was standing there as Rishyendramani, I refused to be touched by the man. Meanwhile, there were claps and noises from the audience asking the collector to hand over the medal and return to his seat. He gave it to me and went back disappointed. The president of Kadapa district board was Srimati Ramasubbamma during those days. She came to the school on the next day. It is due to Rishyendramani, she said, that the school could raise so much of money for constructing its building. We want to honor her and have brought an expensive saree as a gift for her. She called out for Rishyendramani and requested her to come onto the stage. From where could she come? As the audience eagerly awaiting the great dancer, I came running. I was very hot. The guard stopped me. Then our headmaster intervened and told him, "Yesterday's Rishyendramani is really this boy. Let him come in." Everyone was puzzled on seeing me. Srimati Ramasubbamma lifted me up into her arms, kissed me and said, "My dear child, you are so tender in age but have brought great honor to us. I am proud that there are talented persons like you in our country." She was all praise for me. Ever since, she showed great love for Swami. Wherever she went, she would narrate tales of Swami's glory. This is how Swami gave a dance program that day in the high school in Uravakonda. The whole universe is a stage for the Supreme Being. Ever since that day, Bhagawan Sathya Sai has been assuming countless forms and fascinating the world with his melodious music and divine dance. The sting of a scorpion. On 8th March 1940, a momentous event took place in Uravakonda. Satyam was stung by a big black scorpion. His body lost sensation. He sank into unconsciousness. The news spread like wildfire and agitated many people. In that region, a sting of a scorpion often meant death. Satyam was administered several injections and medicines, but none availed. Slowly, he recovered in a couple of days, got up on his own and began to move about. But he seemed to have undergone a total transformation, both mentally and physically. It was as though a spiritual spark dormant in his inner being suddenly came to life and began to glow. The effulgence of the Supreme Being comes only after the darkest period. The Lord of Siddhi was about to unveil and display in sharp relief the immense body of his own spiritual powers through the medium of this boy. Satyam was often seen lost in his own thoughts. He recited Sanskrit slokas, sang songs and gave religious discourses. His behavior was strange and inscrutable. Sheshamarazu and his parents were deeply concerned and confused. Years later, somebody gave a speech in the presence of Baba. He said, Swami was stung by a scorpion. That is the reason why he acquired spiritual powers from that day. Baba, who spoke after him, stated, the person who spoke before me said that Swami obtained spiritual powers because of a scorpion's sting. Let him be stung by 100 scorpions. Let us see whether it would bring any spiritual powers to him. There is no doubt that the incident of the scorpion sting is merely a turning point in Swami's life. It cannot be the cause of his divine powers. It merely marks the stage of his sankalpam, will to unveil his divinity. The bestower of knowledge. Going back to the happenings in Uravakonda, one day, Satyam appeared deeply lost in himself. Suddenly, he said, Narayana Sastry next door is reciting the stanzas in the Sri Mahabhagavata, but is committing many mistakes in his exposition. Send for him. Some persons went to the learned man and requested him to come and see Satyam. Disdainfully, Sastry said, he is but a mere boy. Is he finding fault with my learning? What does he know? He did not bother to come, but Satyam insisted. This time, the intermediaries could persuade the old man to come into Satyam's presence. The boy explained to him all the errors he had committed. He also put to him some questions on the Puranas, sacred scriptures. The scholarly Sastri admitted his lapses and acknowledged the corrections made by Satyam. Astounded at the young boy's brilliance and erudition, Sastri prostrated himself at his feet. Even now, occasionally, Bhagawan finds scholars whose quest for the supreme reality consists merely of profound study of scriptures, sacred texts and mantras. They devote a lot of their time to scholarly exposition of their deep learning, but in their single-minded dedication to learning, they fail to recognize that the very supreme being they are aspiring to reach through scholarship, the very object of their studies, is present right in front of them in human form. Scales of intensive learning prevent their eyes from visualizing the ultimate reality in the person near at hand. In flesh and blood, looking far, they miss what is close by. Bhagavan grants such persons proper insight what they are in need of. In this context, it is relevant to recall an interesting incident that reveals Bhagavan's profound knowledge of scriptures. A yajna was performed during the Dasara festivities some years back. Elaborate arrangements were made and a special dais was erected for the purpose. Eminent scholars of the Vedas and other scriptures were in attendance. Some of them had no faith in Baba's divinity. They had not yet acquainted sincere love and devotion for him. Probably because of that casual and irreverent attitude, a lapse occurred. One of the scholars who was reciting a sacred mantra committed a mistake in pronunciation. Instead of correcting himself promptly, the scholar went ahead thinking perhaps that his lapse went unnoticed. Bhagavan turned towards him, looked at him seriously for a moment and sternly said, Sastri, chant it again properly. The scholar trembled as if he was lashed. Then Swami started reciting that mantra with impeccable intonation. The assembled scholars were astonished and joined Swami in reciting the mantra with proper intonation. Forbearance. As Satyam's fame spread, people from far and near began flocking to Uravakonda to meet the amazing boy. Tongues wagged. Some said that he was a victim of some evil spell, black magic, that he was possessed by a wild spirit, that he was controlled by a demon, and that a tantric or witchcraft might cure him. The distraught Seshamarazu brought in a worshipper of goddess Shakti to help. Satyam chastised him. You are worshipping me every day. You are seeking my blessings daily. So how dare you now come to give me treatment? Bow to my feet with reverence and depart like a good boy. The poor man got frightened, saluted Satyam and left. Satyam was brought back from Uravakonda to Puttaparthi by his parents. He was shown to well known doctors of Ballari and Dharmavaram. None of them could diagnose his problem. Now and then, Satyam would suddenly cry out, "There, Devatas, celestial beings are coming." Offer arati, sacred lighting of lamps and camphor as a mark of devotion. Such utterances used to puzzle and distress members of his household. They were told of a repeated exorcist near the town of Kadiri who could drive away even the vilest and the most intractable evil spirit. Pedavenkamraju decided to take Satyam to him. Together with his daughters Seshamaraju and Satyam, Pedavenkamraju travelled there in a bullock cart. The exorcist had a dreadful mane and fiery eyes. He subjected to 14 years boy a crude procedures and cruel corporal punishment. He gashed the victim's shaven head with a razor at several places. While blood flowed in streams, he poured lemon juice and onion juice into its wounds. He rubbed an ointment in his eyes, which is notorious for causing unbearable smarting. He poured 101 parts of water on the bloodied and burning head. The inhuman torture which Satyam silently bore with fortitude and forbearance shocked his unfortunate and helpless family members. They felt shaken and remorseful. The exorcist grew wild because he believed that the devilish spirit that possessed Satyam was unyielding, unable to bear their mental agony, and having surrendered their dear child to such inhuman torture, the family begged the tormentor to give the boy some respite. They pleaded that after he recovered somewhat, he would be brought back for the further treatment. Satyam has thus rescued from further torture at the hands of the exorcist. Years later, a Haridasa was rendering Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba's life in his very presence. As he reached his particular episode of Swami's bodily torture at the hands of a heartless brute, Swami intervened. "Those details are too painful even to hear. Skip over them, Bangaru." Sometime later, Sri Kasturi asked Swami, "You found it so painful even to hear of those sufferings. Why did you agree at all to undergo such inhuman treatment at that time?" The reply of Bhagavan Sai is very revealing. He explained, "Whatever be the suffering this body is put to, it will not affect me. I transcend happiness and sorrow of every kind. I wanted to demonstrate these aspects of mine to the world. That is why I endured all those tortures and patience and forbearance. I invited that punishment willingly because my suffering would convince people of my spirituality. They would develop trust and faith in me and set foot into the rewarding realm of devotion to the God, Bhakti." There was a lawyer in the town of Penugunda called Krishnamacharyalu. He came down to Puttaparthi to see Satyam and concluded that his condition was much more serious than he had imagined. He advised Satyam's elders to take him to the temple town of Ghatikachalam. He felt that the darshan of Lord Narasimha Swami, the man-lion avatara, Lord Sri Mahavishnu, the presiding deity there, would cure Satyam. On hearing the words of the lawyer, Satyam smiled and asked him, "Sir, I am the presiding deity at Ghatikachalam. Are you advising that I should be taken for my own darshan?" "I am Sai Baba." It was now 23rd May 1940. Satyam was sitting in the front portico of his home in Puttaparthi, materializing sugar candy and flowers and distributing them to one and all. The scene was one of merriment and delight. Some went to Pedavenkamraju and invited him to come and enjoy the wonderful spectacle. The poor father could not tolerate what he thought was his son's cheap trickery or sleight of hand. He picked up a stout stick and marched to Satyam and demanded, "Who are you? Tell me, are you God or an evil spirit?" Satyam looked at his father. He was perfectly serene. Calmly but clearly and firmly he said, "I am Sai Baba. I am of Apasthamba Sutra of Bharadwaja Gotra. I have come to rescue all of you, smitten as you are with fear and lack of mental equanimity. Your ancestor Venkateswara prayed to me to take birth in your family. In response to his prayers, I have incarnated. Venkateswara was thunderstruck. He did not notice that the big stick in his hand slipped to the floor. Why did his father Venkateswara become so overcome and speechless in a moment? Why did he undergo such immediate transformation at the mention of the great Avadhuta's name? The house of Kondamarazu, father of Venkateswara, used to be visited often by a great person called Venkateswara. He wore a perpetual smile on his face. He was a picture of spiritual equanimity and bliss. The clothes he wore would wear out and be reduced to shreds on his body, but he never cared. If he placed his palm on any person's head, that person would taste profound spiritual experience. Nobody knew where he stayed, when he would come, and where he would go. He was a sannyasi, renunciate in every sense of the term. He was just like a piece of wood floating free in a stream of water. Such realized noble persons who have attained supreme levels of renunciation and non-involvement are known as avadhutas. In the learned opinion of those familiar with sublime realms of knowledge, Venkateswara was the same as Venkusa, who had fostered Sathya Sai in his childhood. The Avadhuta used to spend time now and then with Kondamarazu discussing spiritual matters. One day, both of them sat conversing in a banana plantation. All of a sudden, Venkateswara fell silent. Kondamarazu inquired why he so abruptly became silent. The reply was, Kondamarazu, Mother Earth is weeping. Don't you hear her sobs? Kondamarazu stared in disbelief. Venkateswara went on. Very soon, the Supreme Being will incarnate himself on earth in human form. You are destined to witness that incarnation. He repeated the words a couple of times. He asked Kondamarazu to place his hand in his own and asserted that he earnestly believed the extraordinary prediction. Sometime later, Venkateswara left his physical body. Now, Venkateswara heard his son mentioning the glorious name of the great ancestral saint. Like a flash, he remembered the closeness of that divine person with his family, and also his fantastic prediction about the coming incarnation. When details of what happened reached the ears of the aged Kondamarazu, his eyes swam in tears of happiness. But then there was a small hitch. None of them who were present there and heard Satyam speak knew who Sai Baba was. Who was he? Venkateswara heard that a government official had arrived at Penugonda on transfer in his job, and also that he daily worshipped a fakir called Sai Baba. So, one day he took his son to him. That gentleman saw the boy and declared that he was suffering from some brain disorder and needed to be admitted into a hospital for proper treatment. On hearing his advice, Satyam asked him, "Whose brain is ill, yours or mine? You daily worship this very Sai present right before you in flesh and blood, but fail to recognize him as you have no brain." He asked him to hold his hands, and waving his hand, materialized heaps of vibhuti and poured it into his hand. He also threw it all over the terrified man's residence. On a Thursday, one of the persons gathered around Satyam asked for some proof that he was Sai Baba. Satyam asked him whether he did indeed need proof. Then he called for jasmine flowers. Taking them in his hands, he flung them onto the floor. To the astonishment of everyone, the flowers arranged themselves to read Sai Baba. In the Telugu script, all doubts melted away. The Great Annunciation. It was now Monday, 20th October 1940. Satyam was then in Uravkonda, having resumed his interrupted schooling. He was on his way to school when suddenly he turned back, returned home, flung his books away and cried out loudly, "I no longer belong to you. Maya, delusion has left me. My devotees are eagerly calling me. On hearing these loud words, his sister-in-law looked out of her kitchen window. She saw a halo of blinding luminescence around Satyam's head. I am leaving, he told her. The work I have come here for has to be initiated. As he said these words, his brother Seshamarazu and the neighbor Narayan Sastry arrived on the scene. On seeing this splendorous halo, Sastry fell at the feet of Satyam. Seshamarazu stood speechless and motionless. Glorious with the crown of effulgent light, Satyam walked to a nearby large garden belonging to Anjaneyulu, an inspector of excise. He sat on a boulder there. Several eager devotees sat around him. Satyam began singing a bhajan song, the first in the vast body of bhajan songs which are now resounding all over the world. Manasa bhajare guru charanam dustara bhavasagara taranam. First learn that you are in bhavasagara, ocean of worldly life. Next, resolve on taranam, crossing it. Then fix a guru on any name and form of God which appeals to you. Then dwell on his glory. Do bhajan, but do it with all your mind and concentration. Sing in praise of the Master's lotus feet with all your heart. It enables you to cross the difficult to cross ocean of birth and death cycle. Devotees forgot themselves as they sang in tune with him. Some lighted joss sticks, others garlanded Satyam. A photographer turned up and prepared to photograph him. A small rock stood in front of Satyam, intruding into the picture, and the cameraman desired it to be removed. Satyam said, "Let it be. Go ahead and take your photograph." When the film was eventually developed and printed, that small stone was seen to the astonishment of everyone as Shirdi Sai Baba's form. References to Bhagawan Sathya Sai Baba in ancient treatises. Dr. E.V.V. Sastry, a member of the Astrological Research Society of India, studied several Nadi treatises written thousands of years ago by various sages and discovered therein many stunning references to Bhagavan Sathya Sai Baba, which he published. Some excerpts are given here. Agastya Nadi says, Sathya Sai Baba will heal diseases of people with lightning speed. By his mere will, he will bestow health. Many educational institutions will be established by him. He will publish numerous books on spiritual subjects. He will develop spirituality in humanity. To establish dharma and to resuscitate dharma will constitute the principal features of his mission. In his earlier incarnation, he would be Shirdi Sai Baba. He will be the embodiment of kindness and compassion. He is the Father of the universe. He will be an all-merciful avatar of God, preceptor, protector, and Father of the world. Buddhanadi records, Baba will be eternally immersed in Anandam, bliss. Sukranadi says his residence will be called Prasanthi Nilayam by emphasizing the principles of Satya, Dharma, Shanti, and Prema. He will establish and spread peace all through the world. He always delights in serving humanity. He will be possessing all powers and siddhis. The person of divine aspects would be previously Sirdi Vasi, resident of Sirdi. He is Sankalpa Siddha. Whatever he wills, that happens. He will be in Nirvikalpa Samadhi state. He is God incarnate. He will derive immense joy in the service of mankind. Sri Chinnadurai consulted Brahma Nadi and found therein precise references to Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai. In his life, Thursdays will be sacred days. By the way he will live and act, he would create the illusion of being just an ordinary individual residing in Puttaparthi. He will bear the name of Narayana. He will be the incarnation of Siva Shakti and the reincarnation of Shirdi Sai. Born on the banks of the river Chitravati in a tranquil environment, he will be the embodiment of supreme equanimity. In Padma Purana, authored by the great Rishi Parashara, it is written, in the village named Parthi will be born a person called Satyam. He will be 5 feet 3 inches in height. He will act as a powerful magnet capable of drawing to himself the whole world. Baba himself informed devotees that Padma Purana was translated into English by an Englishman called Wilson. Baba also said that the complete copy of Jaimini Bharatam, which contains clear references to Sathya Sai, is in the possession of some spiritually elevated persons. In Vishnu Puran, it was mentioned that he will display great superhuman powers in establishing the new age of truth. His parents will be devotees of Lord Vishnu and will reside in a village worshipping the cowherd form of Sri Krishna. Sri Aurobindo was a great yogi, Mahayogi, and a great rishi, Maharshi. He was immersed in intense spiritual sadhana, practice of austerities and meditation at his ashram in Pondicherry between 1923 and 1926. He was praying that God should take birth in this world for the spiritual elevation of mankind. On 24th of November 1926, he emerged out of his samadhi, spiritual trance, and announced, "Yesterday, God incarnated himself on the earth. With his boundless divine powers, he will direct humanity's mind towards higher, nobler goals. In every heart, he will light a spiritual lamp. His godly voice will ring in the ears of the whole of humanity." It is clear from the date of incarnation mentioned by Maharshi Aurobindo that he was referring to Sri Sathya Sai only. Prophet Muhammad's discourses were published in 25 volumes, 7 centuries after his death. The collection of those volumes is named the Ocean of Light. Several symbolic features by which the coming master of the world could be identified have been mentioned in volume 13. Mahdi Maud, meaning in Arabic the great teacher who was promised. They are: he will have very thick hair on his head, his forehead will be broad, he will have a birthmark on his cheek, his face will always look clean shaven, he will wear only a pair of clothes, his dress will be of flaming red in color, the color of his face will look sometimes like copper, sometimes golden, sometimes brownish, and sometimes like the moon. His physical form will be small. His feet will be delicate, like those of a young girl. Right from the moment of his birth, he will carry all knowledge in his head. So also, the entire corpus of the world's religious and precepts will be in him right from his birth. He can grant whatever one prays to God for. All the riches of the world will lie at his feet. He will go amidst his devotees, move among them, and touch their heads with his palm. Whosoever sets eyes on him will experience supreme bliss. He will take residence on a hill. He will live for 95 years. He will fill the world with peace and tranquility. This Lord of the world will produce his own forms, symbols, out of his own body and his mouth. In this manner, as many as 27 references have been made, which clearly and unmistakably apply to Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai. Nostradamus, a French futurist of the 16th century, wrote a book called Centuries, in which he wrote, "The coming ruler of the world will appear in Asia. The triplicity of waters will give birth to him. He will consider Thursdays as sacred. All the countries of the world will wonder at and admire him for his boundless wisdom and powers. From all parts of the world, people will come to honor him." The book of Revelations in the Bible describes the advent of the great master. An angel appears before John and reveals, "Behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon it was called Faithful and True. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head are many crowns. He was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. Out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword." The embodiment of compassion and love, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, has been so described in numerous religious treatises. 100 salutations to his lotus feet. Om Sri Sathya Sai ParabrahmaNe Namaha. Sri Sathya Sai Satcharitramu Tapovanam, the end of chapter 4. Sarvam Sri Sathya Sai Saranaravindarpanamastu. Om Sri Sai Ram.